Today we're talking to Daniela Ellerbeck, legal advisor to Freedom of Religion South Africa, or 4SA for short, about the Department of Home Affairs' new marriage bill, which has recently been published for public comment. Now, since the initial announcement by the Department of Home Affairs that it was planning to establish a policy foundation for marriage laws in South Africa with the idea of regulating all marriages, 4SA has already been fully engaged in this process to ensure, as always, and in particular, that the right to religious freedom remains respected and protected. So in this context, 4SA has already participated in the department's ministerial dialogues. In these dialogues, there were other religious stakeholders, also academics and others from civil society, and this was already in 2019. We have attended virtual workshops hosted by the department, and of course, as always, we have submitted a comprehensive submission to the department with an emphasis on the human rights aspects, but also the international position. So a very topical and important topic that we'll be talking with Daniela about. Daniela, if you could give us a little more background. I know I sketched briefly, but a little more background about this bill. It was, as if I recall correctly, preceded by a policy. What can you tell us about this?
Liesl, you are 100% correct. This bill was preceded by a policy. Now, the bill has been gazetted for public comment until the 31st of August. And given that it was preceded by a policy, we actually need to look at what a policy is. So the policy sets the Department of Home Affairs' position on the regulation of marriages, the recognition of marriages, solemnization, marriage officers, and so forth. So it sets out what the department's position, all of these aspects will be. And then the bill comes in as a proposed law and says, okay, this is what the law is going to say to encapsulate this position. Now, 4SA had been constant in our involvement in this issue, as you noted, as far back as 2019, when a policy was still just a concept. Now it's already been gazetted and it's final and has been followed up by a bill. But we were constant in our contention that the department's policy needs to set the framework for regulating marriages while explicitly protecting the constitutional rights of religious marriage officers to only solemnize marriages that conform with their and their religious organizations' convictions, beliefs, and tenets. So that religious marriage officers, your pastors, your imams, your gurus, and so forth, won't be forced to solemnize marriages that go against their faith. Now, going way back in history, the department published a draft marriage policy as a green paper for the public's comment 2 years ago in 2021. Now, to allow as many members of the public to participate in this public process, 4SA also ran a public awareness campaign using various alerts and videos to inform people about the potential threats to religious freedom and how to have their say. Our primary concern with the draft policy from a religious freedom point of view had to do with the potential to force religious marriage officers of whatever faith to solemnize marriages that were contrary to their or their religious organization's convictions, beliefs, or doctrines.
Now, I know this was quite a long process of public consultation, but that's actually what you want, broad public consultation. That means the department is taking how the public of South Africa feels seriously. And I'm also glad to say that the final policy, the white paper, which sets out the official government position, from a religious freedom point of view, is a success story. Can you tell the viewers a bit more about this?
Yes, it is a success story, and it shows how important it is that the religious community makes their voice heard when there is an opportunity for public participation. So the department published the final version of the policy known as a white paper. So again, the draft version was a green paper. The final version setting out the department's position is a white paper. And the policy has taken into account the concerns and objections that 4SA and the religious communities of South Africa raise. And in 4SA's analysis, the white paper is very balanced and recommends policy interventions or positions that are reasonable and which accommodate all members of South Africa's diverse society. Specifically, the white paper's policy recommendations for the solemnization and registration of marriages, it allows anyone to become a marriage officer. Now, this will allow members from all social groups to be designated as marriage officers. And the department's position is that provision should be made for all religious formations to have their own marriage officers who will solemnize marriages according to their religious rights while observing the marriage legislation. Equally, provisions were made for all social groups to have their own marriage officers who will solemnize relationships in line with their beliefs and opinions and value systems while observing the marriage legislation. And the policy also further recommended that civil marriage officers, so in other words, your Department of Home Affairs employees who are employed as marriage officers, although required to provide marriage services to all members of society, will not perform any ceremonial, in other words, religious functions generally associated with the solemnization of marriages. So in 4SA's view, the policy was a success story. It took into account everyone's concerns. It made room for the accommodation of everyone. And it also portrayed a welcome splitting between the roles of the state and religious organizations.
I think this white paper really is a win for constitutional democracy and for human rights culture, because it recognizes that everyone should be accommodated. Nobody should force to do things that are against their convictions, and there's a space for everyone, you know, whether you're religious or not. So I think that's lays a very good foundation. But as we know, that a white paper is not the end goal. The reason why white papers are created is to set a policy position, and on the basis of that, laws are drafted. So the next process, or the next step in the process rather, is a draft bill. Could you tell us more about the draft bill?
Liesl, you're 100% correct. Departments formulate positions because of wanting to draft a proposed law. And they want to get the public's opinion on a position and then formulate the position in line with what the public says and then draft a law. Now, the white paper was followed this year by a bill, which will be a new single marriage law. And the bill has been gazetted and is open for public comment until the 31st of August. 4SA will soon be launching a public awareness campaign to allow members of the public to participate and give comment on the bill. We just want to flag it so long that it is an upcoming issue for August. The bill closes for public comment at the end of August, the 31st of August. Now, overall, in 4SA's opinion, having worked through the bill, it is a really good draft when it comes to the recognition of marriages. Currently, South Africa has a haphazard framework of marriage laws, with some marriage laws recognizing some marriages and other marriage laws recognizing other marriages, and some marriages just not being recognized at all legally. So this bill is actually a great success in that it recognizes all existing marriages, whether in terms of a law or not. This will sort out a lot of the problems with unrecognized religious marriages, such as, for example, Muslim marriages, Hindu marriages, and so forth. And all future marriages that comply with the Act's minimal requirements regarding age, which is 18, consent, which needs to be free and voluntary, and legal capacity, and 2 witnesses for registration that the bill later on mentions, will be recognized as valid marriages. When it comes to marriage officers, in line with the white paper, the bill puts forward that anyone holding a responsible position in an organization, so it doesn't have to be a religious organization, can apply to be a marriage officer. So anyone can be a marriage officer, and it's not limited to religious marriage officers only. Now, when it comes to religious marriages must comply with the minimal requirements, so age, consent, legal capacity. And on top of that, must either be negotiated or entered into in accordance with the religion, or celebrated in accordance with that religion. Now, the only problem that 4SA has identified in the bill was that there is no clause explicitly protecting conscientious objection of religious marriage officers. In other words, according to the bill, anyone can apply to be a marriage officer, but religious marriage officers are not explicitly enabled to refuse to solemnize marriages that don't accord with their or their religious organization's tenets or beliefs. Now, 4SA will focus on this aspect of the bill in our submission, and we'll also compare it to international law, where conscientious objection is the rule, not the exception. And as I've said, we will soon be running a campaign on this issue to allow South Africans to participate in this crucial family law issue.
Yes, I think our viewers, that's definitely something that they should watch out for, that campaign. And something that we will be focusing on is securing that right to conscientious objection for religious marriage officers, so that it is made explicit, so that there is no uncertainty, because it's certainly supported by the position taken in the white paper, and the bill needs to follow the white paper and what came through from the public consultations. Thank you, Daniela. This was a very informative conversation, and it's an important issue. Religious freedom is very protected, especially when it comes to marriages, because many South Africans marry in accordance with their faith, and their religious beliefs inform their views of marriage. 4SA will definitely be focusing on securing that right to conscientious objection, to make it explicit. I would say it is the idea that no religious person should be forced to solemnize a marriage that is against the tenets of their beliefs. I think that is supported by the white paper, and of course the bill should be in line with the white paper. but that's definitely something that we will emphasize in our submissions. For more information, viewers can visit our website. The address is forsa.org.za. That's forsa.org.za. You can also sign up for our newsletter. That way you don't miss important updates. Or you can visit our Facebook page or YouTube channel. Thank you.
Good day. This is Daniela Ellerbeck, the Legal Advisor to Freedom of Religion South Africa. Remember to like and share this video, and then click on the subscribe button to make sure you never miss our video updates on vital religious freedom issues.